Now, I'd probably act pretty, surprised. Now, I'd probably act pretty, surprised. Now, I'd probably act pretty, surprised. Now, I'd probably act pretty, surprised.
Hello, and welcome to James, the Let's Express Lane, where we get you in and out as fast as possible with, guys, stop asking for indie games. You're not going to give me money for playing indie games. Let's watch.
I get that some people don't like narrative-based games, all right? But last night, I feel like I had a great time with this game. I got $50 of support playing Mouthwashing, okay? Now, I think you're starting to see the point that I make when I talk about playing indie games. It seems like increasingly there's more demand for me to play them, especially as AAA releases are faltering and failing and not as good as they used to be. But it seems like when I play indie games, it's incredibly hard to get people to actually show up and engage and support with them. Or support them, I should say. Again, sorry, I'm not talking properly today because of the pain in my shoulder. It's actually quite distracting me, okay?
So distracting, he forgets to mention it. I don't know about you, but when my neck hurt, I was not turning to the right. My neck hurt, I was just not able to turn my head that way until I got a massage. I love the massage place at the mall. No, people. Game minds out of the gutter, no happy endings. Well, I mean, it was pretty happy, though, being able to turn my head afterwards. Nope, not DSP. He's gonna sit there and bitch about his neck hurting, hoping that you give him money, while completely ignoring the pain, quote unquote, until he needs to bring it up for pity tips. Anyways, let's continue.
So yeah, like last night, I'm having a great time. Everyone's, we're engaging, we're hanging out, we're talking about the game, and then there's just no support coming in. And I'm like, you understand you want more of this, right? I get it. You'll want more, but then you have to actually show up and support it. And that's not happening. Admittedly, sometimes with other games like Balatro, sometimes we have great nights, sometimes we don't, but we have had some great nights with Balatro, okay? But particularly last night, I was disappointed because here's a game that's unique, that's fun, that's interesting, that's indie. We're supporting it by playing it and giving it exposure. It seems like a great game that a lot of people would enjoy, but where's the actual support for the stream?
You picked up a game that was hot like 4 months ago. Good job. The strike the iron while it's ice cold.
Okay? So this sadly makes me second guess my desire to want to play a bigger variety of games. If the games that get the level of support that I need to operate a business are games that are AAA big releases, then I need to play those. You get it? Like, I get it. Like, people complain, oh, you always play this game in this series, and you always play the same game here. Why aren't you branching out? Well, I am. But the fact is that when I try to branch out, it doesn't always work out, and here's a case in point, okay? So I'm not sure what to do to remedy the situation. It just seems like support is kind of all over the place. Like, for example, I played Indiana Jones, and there were nights when we played Indiana Jones, and we far exceeded the goals and did 2-3 goals in one stream. There were other times when I played Indiana Jones, and it was on the slower side. So is it necessarily the game, or is it just who can actually show up for a stream? Because honestly, it is a good variety of people who support my content. It's not what the detractors say because they're morons. They think they're...
No, you have the same people every day. There's no chance of, oh, he's playing Dark Souls, I'm going to show up. Oh, he's playing FIFA, I'm not showing up. No. It's the same people in this chat every single day. It's always Copium, it's always Perry the White, it's always Monty Mole, it's always Cheetah Man, it's always Grandfather Nurgle. It's always the same fucking names over and over and over again. There is no wide variety. There's no one going, oh, he's playing an RPG, I need to show up for that.
under the impression one person supports all my content. I'm not kidding you. They're that brain dead.
Your biggest whale gives you the most support. Then you have the dolphins, then you have the pay pigs, then you have the dents. Is it just one person? No. It's maybe... maybe 2 whales if Iron Chef Sakai and OIC are the same person. They're the same person, then it's 1 whale. But it's possibly 2 whales, maybe 4 or 5 dolphins, then about the same amount of pay pigs and dents.
Crazy. They're in this weird cult that legitimately believes one person impersonates like 40, 50, 60 different accounts and comes to my streams and just supports this. It's the same person doing it under different names. I wish I was making that up, but that's how fucking nuts they are. That's how far gone they are. They actually believe that.
OIC does use stock accounts, and it's always the same formula of 3 names.
So, yeah, I will admit, are there people who are regulars who come by and every once in a while will drop a big contribution and it helps the stream out a ton? Absolutely. Is that what happens every single stream? Absolutely not. Not at all. That's, there is a good variety of people that come by and support over different games, different times, and sometimes they'll show up for a game, sometimes they won't. So last night, was this simply a situation where the people who were supportive couldn't show up? Not enough people outside of them were interested in this indie game. Was it just a bad night in general? Because this happens. Some people says it seems like Monday nights are always your worst. I don't know. Are they? Because that's the thing. I don't really care or track. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not tracking, oh, is this one particular day every week the slowest day? I don't look at that at all. But when this happens, right, it makes me think, should I listen to what seems to be a vocal minority? Meaning the people who want indie games more may very well be loud and demanding it, but may not be the crowd that's there to support the streams behind the scenes. A lot
10,000 people show up and say, play mouthwashing. He plays it. He has 100,000 people watching. But he only gets $50 in tips. Well, I guess no one cares about this game. It's never mattered about the views. The view counts. Doesn't matter how fast or slow his chat is. The only thing that matters is the money.
a lot of people come by and they'll do a tip here or there, they'll drop some memberships, they'll do a big super chat, and then we don't see them for weeks on end. And that's fine. They're the silent majority. Get it? The majority of people who are watching the content and possibly supporting it are not the people who are here all the time talking and asking for stuff. So, like, here's the thing. I want to play more games like Mouthwashing. I like this game. I would like to finish it later this week. I would like to do more variety of games that aren't necessarily 40-plus hour commitments of my time. I feel like doing a better variety of shorter games actually fits.
That's why he should focus on indies. He's guys, I don't want to put 50 hours into a game. I don't want to put 80 hours. I want to put 120 hours into a game, guys. Then play indies. Spend 2, 3, 4 hours on a game. Oh, it's a really lengthy indie. It's 6 hours.
Fits my stream format better than say, oh, I have to play this game now for 2 months, right?
Or a game like Death Must Die where, depending on how good you are, I mean, it probably took me 8, 9 tries before I could finally beat Dracula. And it was only because I got, like, the perfect amount of bounties, whatever you want to call them, from the gods. Since then, I've beaten him, I think, one more time. I've played it a lot lately. I've pretty much substituted Diablo 2 with this because the latter season, I got my sorceress up to really high level. All she can really do is Countess runs. When she's not doing a group battle runs, whatever. It's like, all I can really do is Countess runs. Like, if I go after anything else, even with the charm that breaks lightning immunity, just because they're no longer lightning immune doesn't mean they take damage from lightning. Because you'll notice, like, oh wow, they're not lightning immune. Bam, 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 dead. Oh no, they're lightning immune. Bam, 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 bam. Come on. Gonna die eventually. Like, you're doing 10% of the damage. It's like, yeah, they're no longer lightning immune, but now they have 95% lightning immunity instead of 100%. Kind of annoying. Probably go back to Necromancer or Druid next latter season.
If anything, I wish that I would play more games like this because I do feel like this would be more beneficial to the business instead of just being committed to games that are going to take so long to finish. If we could beat a game in a couple nights and then we could jump in and out of more games and get more exposure to more games, I think it works, right? But I need people to show up and support them. So last night, all right, after thinking about this, I'm going to chalk it up to a one-night deal. That's not a big deal, all right? I am going to finish Mouthwashing later this week. But when I actually stream it again, which it looks like it's going to likely be Thursday night, I need people to actually show up and engage and support with the second stream of Mouthwashing, all right? So I hope that you will, especially those people who claim, oh, I like this game or whatever. Then please support it. I want more variety. I want shorter games from smaller studios to be part of my rotation. I want to be able to jump in and out of games between big games rather than it just be big game, big game, big game, big game. I like to have these things to break it up in the middle. I think that it works for variety purposes. In addition, this should be said, indie games.
In addition, another thing with indie games, not only are they shorter, but because they're not AAA, it's like, huh, I've never heard of this indie game before. What's he playing? Oh, actually, I think I have heard of that, but I'm not actually watching him play before. I guess I'll watch him play it. Wow. 20 people do that. You have an extra 20 people in your chat. You have an extra 20 chances of someone tipping, or super chatting, or becoming a member, or whatever that's called on Kick. If you're playing smaller games that are not as popular, that aren't worldwide and all that, or maybe, I never heard of this game before because I live in England and it's not, just no one here in England plays it. Hey, you know what? This is really cool. This is interesting. Well, I'm actually entertained by this. Hey, here's a 20-pound super chat. Nah, too much work.
All right, aren't necessarily games that are getting the giant levels of known exposure. Yeah, I want to see my camera blinked over there. I want to make sure it was still working. So, for example, I would bet that far less people have played mouthwashing than, say, have played an Assassin's Creed major release that's going to come out, or you see, it's hard because there's so few AAA games that are good now. I can't even really call any out. Like, for example, let's say the next God of War was coming out next month. Tons of people would play that, so we all know what it is. Versus mouthwashing, it's more of an idea where you're going to get exposed to something new and different. You're going to get more of a shocking surprise and variety when you watch these kind of small-time game streams than if you're, say, just watching a game that you know everyone's playing, right? So, hopefully, all right, this will work out. Hopefully, when I go to finish mouthwashing later this week, we will turn it around and we will actually hit the goal that night. And that will give me
Look at
more
that, he just jerked
confidence
his head to the right
in
with no
playing
problem.
these kind of indie games in the future. I'm going to chalk
Guys, my neck, I can't turn my head to the right. And yeah, he just snapped his head to the right as he's talking.
it up to like a one-off night that was off, all right? But if I start to see a pattern, if we play these indie games and people don't show up and support them, then I'm not going to be able to play them. And that's sad. I want to play them. I feel like they do fit in there, right?
Take a sip, sleazy asshole.
Now, going along that same vein, obviously, guys, we want to keep the momentum rolling this week. Yesterday was a road bump. It really was. Yesterday was a bump that slowed us down, and now we have to get that momentum back. So let's, on this very stream of this podcast and Dark Souls with mods, let's hit the goal. That way we get to 93. Let's get the momentum rolling back in the right direction so that we can get this marathon going later this week, okay? So what I'd like to do, we have a lot of people who contributed. I want to shout out all your contributions right now, see where we're at, and then we can move on to some other topics and the like and chill, and hopefully we get some good momentum building this morning, all right?
Guys, give me money. DSP, no. You should have been focusing on indie games for the longest time. Indie games also, well, guys, my computer's old. Indie games don't take as many resources. Could have easily played them back in the day, but you refused. I get it. His hatred of indie games comes from not just from the fact that it don't make him as much money, but because, guys, this game looks like a PlayStation 1 game. Well, yeah, it's made by two guys in a garage on their days off. They don't have the AAA funding. But is it fun? Well, the DSP doesn't care if it's fun. Only if it looks shiny and it makes some money. Death Must Die, he would never play because it doesn't look as good as a AAA game and may not make him as much money. God, that should have been one of the games for his viewer's choice. He would have hated it. But with that, I'm going to let you go. Thank you for watching. As always, like, subscribe, comment down below, and have one hell of a day.